Can I just follow up on that, the point there, Gareth? Are we still at a stage where we're reporting reports of miscollections rather than actual miscollections?
So I've gone on for board members a lot over the time that the default measure we want to move to is less who has complained about a bin, more empirically these are the number of bins we have collected. And that is certainly, it's referred to, I think, in one of the kind of open actions around Route Smart, the data we're working with strategy and communications colleagues. We are the first wave of our new, I'm trying to remember the title, Business Insight project. But what the first phase of that is to basically take that Route Smart data and produce a dashboard for frontline supervisors that says exactly what you're saying, that we need to move away from 100 people complained today to we should have done 50,000 collections, how many did we do, and then that proactive planning. So that is happening. That has remained a focus and will do for the service until we fix it. I think Councillor Cook made that motion 18 months ago, and certainly that's not been discharged, and we deliberately report on it because we will carry on doing it until we move to that point.
So that's frustrating because the data is there and it's just a matter of how we get it out and translate it into something that's usable. Yeah, that's fine, that's fine. Can I ask, the litter bin thing, that was quite interesting in your overview actually. And I think overall actually this is a really positive report, certainly compared to where the perception of how the service was doing this around this time last year. So it's a really positive report. This year around litter bins, you focus there on the staff and the vehicles. Obviously the other part of that is the public. But the last part of that is the actual design and the placement in the bins themselves. Particularly the design of the bins. What I see quite often is, I think quite often the capacity of the bin's not being used because the blockage is at the top, and the design of the bin means it gets blocked at the top and we can't use what's below, particularly with things like pizza boxes and all the rest of it.
Yeah, I would agree. I think particularly with, as you say, a pizza box, it really takes one just to be jammed in it and the bin appears to be full. We have, I don't know how many types of different litter bins across the city. We would like to move to a more standardised design. The number we've got, for example, I could send out a cage vehicle to empty one type of litter bin, but that cage vehicle couldn't empty one of the ones that has a wheelie bin inside it. So we would like to standardise the type of wheelie bin that we use. At the moment, we typically buy from one supplier, and I would like to think that given the size and scale of the city, if there's an opportunity to, develop or co-develop a more of a Edinburgh design, then we could take that opportunity to do that, I think.
I've got two other questions. You mentioned communal recycling or communal bin collections, so that impacts on recycling. Do you think that's key to enabling us to hit the recycling target? Because I think it could be better. So is bringing the communal bins on track key to us hitting that target?
Yes. I think by providing more frequent pickups creates more capacity in the bin. So there will be instances currently where someone takes the recycling to a bin. That bin might be full, and they may well put it in the general waste bin alongside. Yeah. And I think that's partly because they don't know the frequency and days of collection for those bins as well. But equally, I think it is worth making mention of the deposit return scheme and the potential impact that has on us in terms of changing the composition of the waste we collect, and particularly with packaging collections, for example. We could see an awful lot of those drinks containers coming out of those packaging bins, a lot of the aluminium cans coming out of those packaging bins. And obviously glass is quite an important one for us as well, because the targets are weight-based. Glass contributes about 10,000 tonnes per annum towards our recycling targets. I think the government have quite an ambitious target in the amount of glass that they want to collect through deposit return. So that could potentially all come away from the services that we provide. So.
Yeah, I mean, in my ward, in Oxgangs, one of the shops there, they run one of the pilots for the deposit return scheme, and they're hugely enthusiastic about it, and it was really successful. It's now ended. But they do have concerns about the glass, actually, because of the relative value to the weight, that ratio. So it's quite inconvenient to move around, and the actual value of it is not that significant compared to the plastics and aluminiums. Moving on to another part of the report, the fly tipping. It's really good to see fly tipping coming down. I think it's a really significant issue right across the city. Tends to come like buses, though. There's either none or there's a lot of it. I know that part of dealing with this is also the work we're doing around. There's an aspiration within the council to reduce the cost for the special uplifts to zero, but that's linked to the programme where I think we're trying to recycle or repurpose some of the furniture that people no longer need. So, how's that programme going? And are we getting any closer to the point where we can reduce the cost of the special uplifts to zero?
With regard to the project we were trying to undertake with the third sector, previously we had a proposal from the remakery, which I think was about February this year. So they were quite geared up to undertake a pilot with us, which would see a lot of the material that we collected from within the property rather than the curbside, thereby protecting any reuse potential. There has been some staff changes at the remakery, so a new chief exec has come in, I think. The board have reviewed the proposal they originally put to us and have withdrawn it. So to a degree, we're kind of back to square one on that one. Probably two and a half years ago, I think, we worked with Changeworks to do a consultation with the likes of Edinburgh Furniture Initiative, etc. There was some interest there, but ultimately it was only the remakery that came forward. So we're kind of back to the drawing board on that one. So we'll have a think about what we do, whether we go out to formal procurement or whether we go back out to some of those other bodies and see if there's renewed interest in working with us to do something differently. On special uplifts themselves, I think the report reflects that the early part of August, people were experiencing a 7 to 8 week waiting time for special uplifts. We've changed a few things about within that team. We're now down to 4 weeks. The resources we've got on it currently are enough to deal with the 263 jobs on average that we get on a weekly basis. We are going to put some more resource into it so we can further reduce the waiting time, ideally down to something like a week. We've also worked with customer colleagues to ensure that where someone phones up and books a job and then subsequently phones up to cancel it, that anyone new coming on to book a job is offered that cancellation slot as well.